If you're watching this video, then it's likely that you're interested in applying to or learning about applying to an Ontario medical school this year. I'm here to tell you about the Ontario Medical School Fee Waiver. This is a pilot program that's being introduced for the 2021-2022 application cycle, specific to Ontario medical schools. This is a program that's open to people across Canada and was developed by Price of a Dream in collaboration with the AFMC. I'll be talking about the general journey to admission, then focusing in more specifically on the Ontario Medical School application process and the expenses associated with it. We'll then go on to talk about the medical school fee waiver itself. As I mentioned, Price of a Dream has worked with the AFMC to develop this pilot program. We are a team of medical students, residents, and staff across Canada and the United States who are passionate about eliminating financial barriers to medical education. Why do we care about this work? First of all, access to medical school is inequitable. There is a significant overrepresentation of high SES individuals and an underrepresentation of low SES individuals, and I think we can all agree that that's not fair. Applying to medical schools is also extremely expensive, and there is minimal support financially for applicants. It can cost thousands of dollars, and often this isn't something that's talked about. Thirdly, financial barriers. So this expense of applying to medical school can deter people who are lower SES from applying to medicine. So in terms of the journey to admission, every school has its own requirements and timelines. Some schools only require you to have 2 years of undergrad. Some schools require you to complete your undergrad degree. Some schools do require MCAT, others don't. Some require CASPER, others don't as well. So make sure that you do your research and that you know what the requirements are for the specific schools that you're applying to and that you meet these requirements, just so that you're applying efficiently and using your money wisely. So in terms of the journey to admission, you start off with your undergrad and MCAT most likely, and then you submit an application. You may then be invited for an interview, and after the interview stage is when offers of admission are provided. At each of these steps of the process, there are different things that are required of you and different expenses. So for example, at the application submission stage, there are application fees, transcript fees, and fees for writing the CASPER and releasing your scores to schools. At the interview stage, schools may ask you to pay an interview fee. In terms of in-person interviews, there are expenses associated with that. So things like transportation, lodging, making sure that you feel comfortable and confident in how you look as well. So personal grooming. Something to note for this cycle is that due to the pandemic, interviews may remain online as they were last year. This isn't something that we know. We have information about though, so keep an eye out for any new information there. In terms of the OMSAS application, there is a universal OMSAS application service fee that anyone who applies through OMSAS is required to pay. That's $220, and you're charged that once per application cycle. For each school that you apply to, there's also an associated university fee. You can see those on the right of the screen. Each school has its own distinct university fee. OMSAS also gives you the option to request your transcripts through their system, and each of the schools has a different price for requesting a transcript as well. So the OMSAS application fee waiver is a pilot program that's being introduced this year. Its goal is to reduce the cost of Ontario medical school application expenses for low SES applicants, and it covers up to $600 of the OMSAS costs. So if you remember that $220 OMSAS service fee, that's covered by the fee waiver, as well as the university fees for 3 schools of your choice. People who are eligible intend to apply to at least one Ontario medical school. They must be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, and they must be in financial need. And the way that this is determined is using pre-tax information, where applicants are ranked based on their deficit level. We've included a link here where you can check your eligibility for the fee waiver. In order to apply, you'll need to provide different financial documentation. You'll need to provide proof of income. This can be in the form of a notice of assessment from the Canada Revenue Agency. You'll need to provide this for yourself, your parents if you're under the age of 25, and your spouse if you're married. For anyone who you obtain financial documentation from, you'll need to provide consent forms. So a consent form for yourself, your parents if under the age of 25, and your spouse if married. You'll also need to provide proof of financial aid. This is scholarships and any awards that you've received, both external scholarships and university-provided financial aid. Additionally, provide proof of the different loans that you've received. This includes total lifetime student loans received and any active student debt remaining. You'll note that this does not include any lines of credit that you have. Last but not least, there is an optional personal statement. Although optional, we highly recommend that you put one together. This is an opportunity for you to tell the AFMC why you should receive this fee waiver. We want you to apply to this fee waiver. I know that I've been talking about the requirements, and a lot of times that it can be very discouraging to see all of these documents that you need to provide, but we want you to apply. So if you have any questions, be sure to email the AFMC and ask. Their email is service@afmcstudentportal.ca. If you do have any extenuating circumstances and are unsure if you are eligible or you may not be able to retrieve any of the documentation that you're asked for, then the AFMC may be able to accommodate you. Make sure to email them and ask. Here we've included a timeline of the application process to Ontario medical schools. This includes the dates for the fee waiver. If you are awarded the Ontario Medical School fee waiver, the school fees for the 3 schools that you selected on your fee waiver are automatically waived at checkout. However, to remove the $220 service fee, you need to enter a unique fee waiver code that you'll be provided when you're informed of the result of the application. In terms of the dates for this, June 24th was when the application opened. The fee waiver application closes August 23rd, and the fee waiver results are released via email on September 6th. The deadline to make an OMSAS account, so to actually make an account to apply to Ontario Medical Schools, is September 15th, and the deadline to submit your application is October 1st. Before submitting your application, double check that 1. All required materials are included in your application. 2. That all materials included are accurate. If you are to submit something with an error, then these errors must be corrected by submitting an error explanation letter. This is included in the application guide. 3. Make sure that you've researched the schools that you're planning to choose to apply your fee waiver to, and make sure that you're confident in these 3 schools that you're selecting for the fee waiver. This can't be changed after submitting your application. So if you do decide to select 3 schools when applying for your fee waiver, but then later on you decide that you don't want to apply to those 3 schools, you decide to apply to another 3 schools, then the fee waiver will not cover those university expenses. The OMSAS service fee, however, will be covered. In terms of tips for applying, the first and I think one of the biggest ones is just start early. Make sure that you filed your 2019 or 2020 income taxes because you need that documentation to actually complete your application. And make sure that you get your materials from others for your application as soon as possible because sometimes that can take a bit of time. Make sure you complete and submit your application early. If you start early, you have opportunity to ask for help should any hiccups happen. And the AFMC is happy to help you with that. We've included some links that are important and really helpful and that you'll need to apply and that can provide all of the information that we've shared today in this presentation. The first one includes the link to check your eligibility. In order to actually access the application, you have to first check your eligibility for the program. If you're deemed eligible, then it provides you access to the actual application. Second is the AFMC application guide. Third is the application toolkit. This is a toolkit that's been put together by Price of a Dream. And this includes a price of a dream specific guide and tips to apply as well.
Thanks for watching. We hope you found this video helpful. We've included some important links in the bio, so be sure to check that out. Until next time, see you later.